Check my mic. All right, is that better? Is that better? All right, so have you guys heard anything that I've been saying? First of all, I've been saying hi to everyone. Dom, Mario, Tomas, Mark, Dennis. Um, hey, everyone. And yeah, I wanted to know if you guys were sailing. John, Greg. Yes, I wanted to know if you were sailing, how it was, what size, where you were. All the questions I normally ask. Hey, Jorg, Greg. I sailed. I was sailing. Edwin. Yeah, so I sailed in Denmark. I sailed in Vita Sanda. I sailed in Bunkers, which is a spot in Klitmuller, which is normally a surf spot. It was a spot with wind from the right. And yeah, it was fun. Here I posted this little 360 in the group. It was just kind of fun down the line. Conditions, I was on a 4.5. It was pretty gusty. Occasional really fun wave. Hey, Ragnar, Matt. No wind in the UK. So anyway, so I was having fun. That's just a little taste of my session. I'll post some more stuff. I don't have a ton of photos, but it was, yeah, just fun. Fun for me. Some down the line waves. Felt like home. I enjoyed that. I got the pictures. Thank you very much for the pictures. And I found it kind of interesting in this 360 sequence how much my body moves around. So like here I've got my hips way back and my front arm and front leg are straight, and then I come into this position where my back leg is straight, I'm pretty forward, and then here again, just how much my body is changing. And I think that that's a pretty interesting lesson. And here you can see my hands, in this classic 360 position, coming around, landing. And too often we stay in that static position where you got your arms in front of you and your feet down below you, and we're not moving around, right? So even though we're holding on to the boom and we're in the foot straps, we can really move around a lot with our body and our arms and our hips. I think that's an important lesson. So that was kind of interesting for me to see in this sequence, especially going from this picture to this picture. I thought that was a pretty interesting juxtaposition. So here I just did an off the lip on this section. I'm picking up speed, and I think there's a little bit of a sort of like a counter motion going on where I'm throwing my weight back so that I can throw it forward with more force. And so I think it's a good practice just to really move around. You can do that when you're even like just sailing straight, just push your hips back, push your hips forward, and feel the freedom that exists even though you are strapped in with your feet and you're holding on with your hands. So that is an interesting observation to start our session. Carl, Max, welcome. Nice. Edwin, I'm looking forward to Denmark as well. All right, so we've got some great questions, great stuff posted in the group. Ragnar posted the video that he made from our trip to Tenerife. So this is from the Windsurfing Masterclass in Tenerife. We're not going to go through the whole video here, the whole 15 minutes, but you guys can all go through it. It's super cool. Ragnar did a great job documenting everything, which was cool. And everything from the taxi ride to watching, this was the view from the house. This was a little aerial that I did, which actually it looks like I fall, but I don't. And yeah, so if you're curious about Ragnar's experience during our coaching week together, check it out. It's posted in the group. Yeah, cool stuff. Little reporting on his experience. Um, hey, Jeff. All right. So cool, Ragnar. Nice little video. Oh, wow. Eric, welcome. Riding the swell from Ida. How was it? How was it? I want to hear what the hurricane swell was like. And then we got this question from Rory, which we're going to dive into. This is a great question. Thomas mentions that he likes to lean the rig back instead of the body before it starts to prevent clue first bottom turning. Which I can see that working sometimes. When I've tried to do that, sometimes I feel like I put too much pressure on the fins. But there's lots of different techniques that work. And one of my main points is that it's about outcome, not about the small technical aspects, necessarily where your hands are or whatever. It's about getting the function right. And what I really want to show in this 2-picture sequence, or the whole sequence, is less about the specifics here and more just about how much you can really move your body around in this zone and not be so static. I see so much where everyone is just standing kind of upright, holding onto the boom, and you can really move your hips around, really get free, get loose, and that really gives you a lot of opportunity. Eric, what was not so great about it? Storm looks big. All right, so guys, I'm going to get into this question from Rory. Eric, I want to hear why the waves were not great in the meantime. So Rory asked this question, and it's about his dad. So Rory, are you on the stream? Is your dad on the stream? And we'll get into it even if you're not, but I'm curious if you are. So posted this video of his dad doing a bottom turn and wants some feedback for his dad. So my first question is, does your dad want feedback? Because if he doesn't want feedback and he's totally happy with how he's doing it, then just keep doing it how he's doing it, and that's fine. So is it coming from you or is it coming from him? Do you want him to improve or change, or does he also want it? Because if he doesn't want it, one, there's nothing wrong with that. He's just having fun. And two, no matter what I say, he's not going to change, because you have to want the change. You have to want the change to make it happen. There's no accidental change. So just listening to me is not enough. You've got to want it, and you've got to get down and dirty in it, and really be humble, because learning is a humbling experience. This is something that I maybe don't say enough, but to learn is to be a beginner again. It's to get in that beginner mind. It's to be humble. It's to be okay looking silly, looking stupid, to get out of the comfort zone, to get out of the status quo, get off the plateau. And if you don't want that, it's just not going to happen. And that's fine, right? If you don't want to learn, if you want to stay where you are, that's fine. But if you want to move on, if you want to get off the plateau, if you want to change the status quo, then you've got to be okay looking silly. You got to be okay falling. You got to be okay doing something different, experimenting, and crashing, looking silly, whatever. And you can't let your pride get in the way of getting better. But so, Rory, if your dad wants to go through all that, great. And if not, let him be. Let him have fun doing what he does. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And, some of us, we really get off on the progression and want to push and go and learn new moves, fine tune the moves we know. But some of us, and this is true, even the same person, like there are some days where I really don't want to learn something new. I just want to do what I'm comfortable with, and that's fine. Hey, Bjorn. So anyway, this rant is just to say that, Rory, your dad has to want to change. He has to want to improve. Otherwise, doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter what you say. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to get into the coaching. So here's the bottom turn and cutback sequence on a little whitewater wave. And Rory also posted this other wave for comparison. Kind of similar, but also different. You know, this wave has face, this one doesn't. So there's a lot to unpack. Ooh, I don't want to go full screen. I want to make that bigger, but not full screen. I hope you guys can see it. Bjorn, I don't know if I already said hello to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Interesting, Eric. All right, so the number one thing that we see here in this bottom turn is that there's no wave, right? We've just got a little whitewater, and that's going to be hard to turn on, right? You want to, the bigger the wave is, kind of the easier it is to turn on. You know, maybe it's scarier, but in terms of actually doing the turn, it gets easier. So like, for example, with surfing, normal surfing, I really struggle to surf in small waves. Hey, Samuli. But once it gets big, I can actually surf pretty well because there's a lot of crossover from the windsurfing, and I don't have to worry about all these little things like positioning as much, speed as much. So, you know, the more wave there is, the easier a lot of these elements are. And especially if you're on the face of the wave, you know, with the whitewater, there isn't even a wave, right? You've just got the power of the whitewater and then the flat in front of it. So the first point is that you want to be on the wave. And so what are we coaching here? Okay, we're not coaching a normal bottom turn and cutback because it's a whitewater wave, right? And so I would encourage trying to find bigger waves, trying to get some turns on the face, like this wave behind that we can see. But one thing that I really like is there's this effort here to really get that high five, right? So you can see, Rory, I think your dad's name is Ronnie. Ronnie, is that right? So you can see Ronnie's really getting on his heels, really leaning back and presenting the bottom of the board to the whitewater. And he manages to get a little high five. So I'm stoked on that, seeing that high five, seeing that energy transfer. You know, we do a lot of talk about high fives, and so many times when I see people riding whitewater, they're not getting that high five. They're approaching the whitewater with the board flat, and the whitewater hits the rail of the board, and they don't get that energy transfer, and they force the turn. And so your dad's kind of doing the most important part of riding the whitewater, which is getting that high five, presenting that bottom of the board to the power of the wave, letting it turn him rather than forcing the turn. Now, the entry into that cutback has some issues, which we're going to get into in a moment. But what I want to say first and foremost is that mission accomplished. He's getting the high five, hitting that whitewater there. So I like that. And no matter what you do, Ronnie, don't lose that. You know, this effort to get the bottom of your board presented to the wave, get that energy transfer, that's huge. Okay, so now let's talk about the bottom turn. So it looks like you're not going very fast. The more speed you have, the easier everything is. The easier it is to balance, the more you can lean over in your turn, the harder you can turn, the tighter you can turn. Speed is your friend. Looks like the conditions are light. It looks like the waves don't have very much power. It's a small wave. But what you can do is just really try to use the energy of the wave to pick up more speed. And so it looks like the wind is pretty side shore, side off. It doesn't look too onshore from how this bottom turn is. And so what you can do is pump the sail, kind of leaning kind of a bit forward on the board, and try to really pick up as much speed as you can from the whitewater without pointing too high upwind as you do it. So you can point about here and really pick up some speed from the whitewater before you go into your turn. And that speed will just make things so much easier. All right, and then let's talk about the turn. So we see that there's really a lot of weight back. You can see the nose of the board is flying really high. And people will talk about back foot, front foot. And while there's truth to that, I don't think it makes it, I don't think it explains the situation in a way that then is easy to change on the water. So I kind of avoid that language, even though we do see that happening where you're very, very back foot and we want to change that. One of the things that I think about that helps to change that weight distribution is the angle of your hips, your pelvis. And so you want to think of your pelvis being turned so that it's the same direction as your back foot. Does that make sense? So you're trying to bring your front foot so that it's lined up with your back foot, and that your pelvis is lined up with all of that. So it's a motion of bringing your hips into the turn. So you're bringing the hips more towards your toes. And that will put the weight on your front foot. So that is the easiest way in your bottom turn to make sure that you're getting that weight distribution on your front foot is getting your pelvis turned so that it's lining up with your toes. And so you're really thinking about having all your lower body lined up. So instead of facing, so if we go through a little bit more in this video, we can see that, the pelvis is kind of facing not directly the nose of the board, but somewhere between the nose of the board and the toes. And you want to get that so that it's facing the other rail into the turn, which will really help. Second big thing is you want to create more distance between yourself and your sail. So you don't want the sail so close to you. You can really kind of extend both your arms and really let the sail fly, and that gives you space to lean forward and get on that rail more. And third, I want you to think about turns like this really like a jibe, and think, okay, if I'm going to do just a jibe right now and head back out, what am I going to do? And so you're probably going to be sheeting out more. You're going to be getting lower into the turn. You're going to be looking more with your head back out to sea. And so you can really think about doing this like a jibe. Stay in both straps, but really think of it like a jibe. Really get low. Here we see you got really straight legs. You want to get low. When it's onshore, you really want to get low before you go. Once it gets more side off, then you can kind of drop low as you start turning. But getting that bend in the knees will make a big, big difference. So, Ronnie and Rory, we've talked about a lot of different concepts. I don't want to confuse you. Choose one or two of them and don't lose the high five. Don't lose the high five. So you can go back through this, see which concepts really stick with you. Don't lose the high five. Try and find some more waves that have an open face, that are bigger, that are giving you more speed. On these little waves, try and pump up, get some speed, get going down the line. Speed is your friend. Get as much speed as you can. Think about getting low. Think of that bottom turn like a jibe, really opening up the sail, really sheeting out the sail, kind of letting the sail fly on its own, so you're not so connected to it. All right, does something in there stick? Let me know. There's a lot of concepts we just went through, and again, don't try to do them all. Focus on one of them, and let's see how it goes. Yeah, thanks Anya. Hey Niels. Yeah, it was great to get some pictures. It's cool. Show that the day actually happened. These are some of Anya's pictures, this little 360 sequence. There's a few more pictures I'll post as well. It was nice. There were a lot of waves this size and a few that were bigger. I had some aerials and goiters and turns and stuff, and it was pretty fun. Pretty fun sailing. All right, Rory. So you let us know how that goes. I'd love to get a comment from your dad as well. If he's not in the group, get him to join the group if he's on Facebook. All right, moving on. We've got a question from Ragnar-san about tightening up his bottom turn. And let's play the video. All right. So this is from the 360 cam. It's a little bit hard to see in this case. I know the case is designed for the camera, but it kind of gets in the way. So first of all, Ragnar, dead onshore conditions with light wind is difficult, man. I mean, onshore anyway dead onshore anyway is difficult. And when it's light, it's even a bigger challenge. And I can see, that this wave forms and it breaks and then it disappears quite quickly, which means that it doesn't have a lot of energy. It doesn't have a lot of power, which it can still be a ton of fun to ride, but it means that it's just harder, right? So don't be so hard on yourself, right? Now the wave's already gone. And so it means it didn't have much energy. So don't be too hard on yourself. These are probably the most difficult conditions in windsurfing. Great to see you out there. Beautiful new sails. All right, let's get into what you can be doing. So I want to see you aim for these sections. So I want to see you get that high five. And so right now, you've already started to kind of turn away from the section. I want you to just sail into these sections with your board. Get the bottom of your board just sailing into those sections. Just sailing into it. Picking up the speed. And so you are picking up the speed, right? But you're coming a little bit under where the whitewater is. And I want to see you just sail right into that whitewater. And you'll pick up so much speed. And will feel really good. And that will help. Having that goal will help you do a tighter bottom turn. The other thing that I want to talk about is related to the point I made with the 360 sequence for me of how much I'm moving around even though I'm attached to the foot straps and holding onto the boom. And I think this is a good example showing that you can do more movements within the constraints that we have while we're windsurfing. And so I'd like to see you get a little bit disconnected from the sail, holding the sail a bit farther away from you as you're going into the bottom turn. And you can kind of sheet out more, push the sail away from you. And so I think those 2 points will make a big difference for you. So one is just kind of pushing the sail away from you and think of being free with your body, even though you are connected at these 4 points to the rig. And then aiming for these sections. So for these corner sections. And so you're aiming for this corner just to stick your board right up in there, the bottom of your board, just sail into it. You're not trying to do a really hard cutback. You're just kind of sailing into it, showing the bottom of the board, getting that high five, picking up the speed and going on. Pushing their arm out, and you can really push the whole sail away from you. And so you can really have your arms straight, both arms straight. And so you're really sheeting out, and you can really think about just pushing that sail away from you and letting it kind of be free, and then turning your body into the turn. So I'm sure I can find a video somewhere. So here's me in Tenerife. This is not going to be a perfect example, but you can kind of see that like both my arms are straight and I'm letting the sail kind of stay in the same place. You see how little the sail is moving, but how much my body is moving. So like the sail is staying really in the same place from here to, let me know if you guys can still see that here. Maybe I need to move this over more. So from here to here, it's basically there. The sail is kind of in the same position the whole time. See the angle of the mast, everything is really similar. And I'm really pushing the sail out away from me. My back arm is straight and my body is doing different things, right? Like here, my body is really leaning over, and then I'm turning my hips into the turn, adjusting to get that high five. So getting that disconnect, I think, will really help. So really pushing out with the sail and sheeting out, pushing out with the sail and twisting your body into the turn. And you can it really feels like you're disconnected from the sail rather than you're like this single unit. So you're really pushing the sail sort of out and kind of sheeting out and then leaning into the turn. But you don't have to focus on too many aspects here. I think just focusing on pushing out with the sail, getting a bit of distance between you and the sail, a bit of freedom for your body, and then really aiming for these corner sections, and that will help you get the turns that you want to be doing. You'll be going more vertical, more dynamic, hitting the lip. But I really like, hey Steen, but I really like, you've got a, like if I play this again, you've got a constant speed, which I like. You did a good job of this in Tenerife too, where you're carrying a lot of speed. So you're still able to pick up speed from the wave, even without that high five there, which is cool. That's good. And again, these are really difficult conditions. You can see the wave is already gone. There's not a lot of energy in it. It's really onshore, so it's difficult. So don't be too hard on yourself. But I think that's enough to work on. Those two things will make a big difference. So again, it's really pushing the sail away from you, really sheeting out. You can really think of having your arms straight, and then aiming for those corner sections. Thomas is asking, can one do a lay down towards land when it's onshore? Can do a lay down towards land. I think so. You mean like kind of like doing a lay down like here? I mean, I'm not doing it here. The sail's upright, but I mean, I could imagine doing a lay down at this moment and then coming around into my bottom turn. Should be totally possible. Like at this moment, so the sail's kind of facing the beach, sort of laid down. Again, I'm not doing it. This is not an example, but I could imagine that. I feel like I've seen some of the guys in Pozo do some stuff like that. All right. Next up, we've got Samuli. Oh, let's turn off the sound just for the stream. Make this bigger. All right. So, question is, About cutbacks. Do I need more space between me and the wave, or just turn faster with the back foot as I approach the lip? Pretty similar conditions to what we just saw from Ragnar-san. Looks very onshore. Yeah, very similar conditions. I guess windier. All right, so first off, head. So whenever you're looking at your own footage, you want to look at your head, and then you look at your hands, look at your feet, look at your hips. Those are sort of the main things that you want to look at when you're analyzing yourself. And so let's start with the head for now. Where are you looking? So very similar to what I just said to Ragnar, you want to be aiming for these corners. So this corner that's made with the white water and the wave. And just think about sailing into that corner, presenting your board into that corner. And yeah, you've got to just be looking at it to get there. If you're not looking at it, you're not going to get there. And a lot of these sections, they feel like on the water, they feel like you can't get to them, but you can. Actually, you can. And it's just a matter of looking at it and just having the faith, the trust that you can get there. And what's the worst that can happen if you don't? You know, nothing. If you go a little bit, you know, too wide and you can't get to that section, so what? Then you hit this white water that doesn't have a lot of power. So there's no harm in trying. So I want you to try to hit these sections that you think that you can't get to. The first step is looking at them, and then the second step is trying. Hey, Caro. All right, the question about laying down, and hey, Tom, Ogus, laying down the sail for more rail engagement or to kill the power. Depends. I think that in different conditions you do, sometimes you're laying down the sail and it's a part of the process of getting the rail engagement, and sometimes you're laying down the sail and it's to kill the power. The surf festival at Fehmarn is coming up, right? That's in 3 weeks. And yes, I am planning to go there. So, similarly, this corner that's just behind you, I want to see you aim for that, and I want to see you hit it. And so get that high five. So here you are doing the turn, right? It's your energy, it's your power, it's the wind that's making your cutback. I want the wave to do the cutback for you. So if I go back to this example from me, and again, it's not the best example ever, but it kind of shows what we're talking about, right? Like there's this kind of corner on the wave, and it's just presenting the board to that corner. I'm not even really pushing very hard on it, I'm kind of absorbing it, but just letting the wave turn me. And that's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do on this corner section. And so really think about just trying to get to the corner and present the board there and let the wave turn you. You know, if you present the board, the wave will turn you around. Done. So look with the head. Try to get that high five. So here we have, so it's hard for me to see with the angle, but it looks like there is a high five happening here. Similarly, you're in the chat. What's going on this off the lip? It kind of pauses a bit here. Looks like there was a high five moment where you hit this white water. It looks like you pick up a ton of speed and you kind of lose a bit of control because you're going so fast and the fins slide out. But I like that. That's a dynamic place to be. All right, here's another one. I like the determination in your face. I like that you're getting low. I like that your knees are pointing into the turn. Great. So again, talk about heads. Looking somewhere down here, I want you to be looking at this corner. So this corner here, you could have gotten to. You could have hit that corner. All right, so if we look at the initiation, there's a lot that you're doing right. You know, I like this, that you're getting low, like the where the hips are pointing. It's hard for me to see how close you are to the sail. It might be that you want to make more distance between you and the sail, so really push the sail out in front of you, like we were talking about with Ragnar. That's hard to see from this. But what I can see from this angle is that your head is looking somewhere way down here. I want you to be looking here on this corner and hitting those corner sections. So same feedback as before. This one looks, it's hard to see the angle. It's maybe a little bit more of a high five, but you can really just kind of lean back and just get that bottom of the board presented up to the wave just to pick up that energy, get that high five. And again, from this angle, it's hard for me to see how close you are to the sail. So it might be that you want to, you know, extend your arms more. So it looks like your arms are a bit bent, which isn't necessarily bad. You know, your arms don't need to be straight, but you do want some distance between you and the sail, and you want to really be free with your body and with your motions. You might want to think about really pushing the sail out in front of you. So Ragnar, it can be good to do a more shallow bottom turn, so not come so far out in front of the wave. It can be very difficult in onshore conditions to do a tight bottom turn. You know, a lot of the bottom turns in onshore are really drawn out. Yeah. So similarly, you're saying the problem is not getting the board base to face the lip. It's just really just thinking about just leaning back just that little bit, just kind of getting on your heels. It doesn't have to be a huge motion. It's just presenting the bottom of the board to the lip just to get that high five. And this is something that we can work on in Denmark, but just really just kind of just unweighting a little bit. So just kind of, you know, you're low in your bottom turn. You can kind of just unweight a little bit, face the bottom of your board to that lip. To go back to this clip again, you can kind of see here, you know, it's just kind of using my lower body just to swing that board just so that the bottom is facing that white water to get that high five moment, which we see right here. We can go back to this bottom turn from Ronnie and cut back. You can see, you know, there's a lot of issues here, but what he is doing is that quick transition here to get the bottom of the board presented to the whitewater. And it doesn't have to be totally on the rail. I mean, it's better the more on the rail it is, but you can see it's enough here. You can see that the wave is doing the turn for him. You can see that he is picking up some power from the wave. He's waiting. He's letting the power of the wave do the turn for you. I think a lot of the times what impedes the high five is trying to do the turn yourself rather than use the power of the wave to do the turn for you. And it's again, so you say you feel like you're gonna fall. You know, it's not a huge motion. You don't have to. You don't have to do a huge motion. It's just really just kind of just getting the board just rocked over a bit, and then just really being patient and letting the power of the wave turn you rather than turning yourself. So you can really see, you know, in this cutback that you're doing the work to do the turn, and it doesn't matter what the wave is doing. So what we want to do is, if the wave isn't there to push you, you're not going to do a cutback. So you're setting up your position so that the wave is a very important part of the process. And it's wave riding, right? So like when I'm setting up to do my cutback, if there's no wave there, I'm not going to turn around, right? It's the wave is a super important part of the process. So I'm just facing the board here. If there was no wave, I don't know what would happen, but I definitely would not turn back around. You know, I would kind of just fall in the water or something. So the wave is a very important part of that process. And I think that's really important to remember that, you know, it's wave riding. So if you're doing the work and it's something that you could do if there was no wave there, it's not right. You want the wave to be pushing you to giving you your speed. Yeah, so is that clear? Is that clear? Windsurfing Kook is asking, do I surf on the Baltic and North Sea? Which spots? You're from Hamburg too. Moin moin. Yes, I do. I was windsurfing on Wednesday in Wiedesande, and Thursday, Friday, I was in Klitmuller. So this is a sequence. This is from Klitmuller. Here's a 360 from Klitmuller. And yeah, I occasionally go on the Baltic. I enjoy sailing in Weissenhaus, and I've had a lot of fun sessions. Let me see. Somewhere I've got some footage from, I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but I've got some footage somewhere of, like, here's some footage from, this is like a more normal day at Klitmuller. This is from last year. This is at the fish factory. Yeah, here's another one. I haven't released this footage. I should post it somewhere. I wanted to do some instructionals with it. Again, this is from the fish factory in Hanstham. So here you can see again, you know, the sail really kind of staying in the same place, and my body is doing a lot of movement, but the sail is not, right? So the sail kind of just stays in one place and the body's moving a lot. Yeah, I like Weissenhaus. Weissenhaus can be good. I have a lot of fun, Weissenhaus. Yeah, there's a lot of fun spots around. I wish it wasn't so far to drive. I think that's probably my biggest struggle when I'm living in Hamburg. It's just how far it is to get to good conditions. And sure, it's better than a lot of other places, but it's still pretty far, which just makes it hard with the family. I think if I was single, wouldn't matter. But with a wife and kids and all that stuff, it's just hard. But I think that's all the questions from the group. I can show you guys. I was going through and I found some old footage that I'm going to post or do something with. I can give you guys a sneak peek of that stuff if you want. And while I wait to see if there's any more questions coming up. Where did I put that footage? Yeah, so I think that covered everything. Again, so I'm going to try and find some footage from some old footage just to show you guys if you want it before I post it publicly. Yeah, I found a bunch of like 360s, old 360s. I don't know if you guys can see that, where my screen is. I don't know where the screen is. Kara was saying I'm just a tiny bit picky with conditions. That might be true. I don't know. I sail most conditions. Hey, Rasmus. So what do you mean when you say you have too much bottom dwelling? I don't know what you mean by that. Does that mean that you get stuck in the bottom turn when it's onshore? Which, by the way, speaking of footage, I posted those forward loops that we were discussing last week. Those are on my YouTube channel. If there's anything else that you want me to post, just let me know. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, we've got the Facebook group. It's facebook.com/group/Ezzy Coaching, or Graham Ezzy's Windsurf Coaching Community. You got to answer the questions. We have a lot of discussion in the group. We've got some really great members, make some cool content, great comments. I give my coaching, but like look at this post from Rory. We've got 21 comments from other people giving advice, or like, I don't know. There's a lot of great advice that's not just coming from me, but coming from the other members of the group. So if you're not a member of the Facebook group, it's worth joining. So Bjorn is saying, which by the way, Rasmus, I'm waiting for you to define your question a bit more. I don't know what you mean by too much bottom dwelling. Bjorn's saying, question about old boards, they lose their ping or responsiveness, talking about a well-used board. Yes, the old boards definitely lose their magic, and I think it has to do with getting soft. And so they get softer, and so then they're more spongy and less responsive. And it really depends on the board. Some boards can last for a decade, and some boards can start to feel spongy after a year. But yes, it definitely can happen. And I think it has to do with, I think it has to do with maybe a certain amount of delamination, or something's happening that they're losing their stiffness. So they get kind of spongy. So Max, do I have any tacking instructional videos? Good question. I tell you who does have a good tacking instructional video of me is Ragnar's son, who in his video from Tenerife, let's see, somewhere in here. I did watch this whole thing, and I love the memories. So here in the middle, starting around just before 7 minutes, there's some of my tack lesson from Tenerife. And I think Ragnar filmed the whole thing. So Ragnar, maybe you could even post the whole tacking lesson. Or I don't know how it is. Maybe it's better. You can message me about it. We can talk, because maybe you could send it to me, and then I could edit in some video from tacking or something. But anyway, Max, so check out what Ragnar posted. I think there is some tacking in there. And we have talked about tacking on the live stream. And so if you're in the Facebook group and you go to the About section, and you go to the coaching directory, it opens up this coaching workbook. And you can go down through here and find tacks. So here's tacks, so page 14. So I think we can do it on this side too. So it's amazing. So this is Dom and Fabrice who have made this. So shout out to our historians from the group. They've put this together. So, and then you can just follow these links, and so this has tacking that we've covered on the live stream. Again, thank you to the historians, Dom and Fabrice, for doing that. Rasmus, also, I'm still not sure your question. Here, I'm going to post this stuff on social media. You guys can get a little sneak peek. I haven't really posted very much on social media. I've just been so busy, but it is an important part of my job to post this stuff. So I went through some old videos, found some old footage. Cool. Thanks, Ragnar. I will check that out. Yeah, Ragnar was a star in Tenerife. We went through the tack lesson, and then the first day he nailed 6 of them, right? One of them right in my face. So anyway, that there you should find some info on the tax. All right. What else is coming up? Let me think. So I'm getting ready for Denmark. So our windsurfing masterclass starts on Saturday. I'm going to go up to Denmark on Friday. I've got a lot to do to get ready beforehand. And so my week is pretty busy. And then I'm up in Denmark with the masterclass group, which I'm super excited about. I love doing this coaching. I always get a little bit nervous before, but it's just so much fun to share. Just to share what I've learned. And so I've got some cool ideas of what we can do and some different exercises, and I'm excited. If you are interested in doing a course with me, a masterclass with me, just pay attention to what's going on in the Facebook group. And if you're not on my email list, which I'll post another survey to try and collect emails. I've done that in the past. A lot of you guys I know are on that email list. And so the email list gets the first dibs at all the courses. And so I send out the list to the courses, of the courses there. So they don't go public. They go to the email list first. And so like, for example, this course in Denmark sold out, I think in 24 hours. Next year will be more normal. Because hopefully the COVID stuff is done, or at least more clear. And so we can do more courses and we can plan them more ahead of time. And so I know I've been getting a lot of emails about people who want to do this course in Denmark or some other courses. I'm sorry that it's fully booked, but we'll have more opportunities next year. All right, last few questions. So Rasmus is saying how to sharpen up the turns to get to the lip faster, especially when it's onshore. Think you want to really stay on the wave, so you don't want to really come down in front of the wave. So really try to do your bottom turn on the face of the wave. That can really make a big difference, especially when it's onshore. Here's a wave ride in onshore conditions. I don't know if this really shows much because I am kind of coming in front of the wave, and I think this is in Weissenhaus. Not necessarily the conditions, Rasmus, that you're talking about, but really staying on the face of the wave will make a big difference. Don't come too far out in front of the wave. And so you can start your bottom turn a bit earlier. You keep the power from the wave in your turn. That's a huge, huge game changer. Similarly, he's asking, what board do I recommend for Klitmøller? I think you always want to bring a floater, gets you on the water, and then I would say a floater and a medium-sized board, because it can get super windy there, but you're still dealing with current, you're dealing with getting around. So I never really ride my smallest boards there. I'm always on my 88, which I'm always on the 88. So it doesn't mean that much. I like that size. But I think having a floater and a medium board, if you have that, are important. You don't need the high performance board. So let me know. You can write me as well, similarly, if you want some more tips about that. Otherwise, I think I'm going to call it a night. We went through all footage, all the questions. If you've got more questions, you can post them in the Facebook group. We've got great discussion that's going on during the week. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, it's super easy to join, free to join. Just make sure you answer the membership questions. Otherwise, you're probably not going to get let in. I'm not the one that's doing the letting in anymore. We've got some great moderators who are doing that. Make sure you answer the questions. All right, everyone. I've got a busy week. I hope you guys have a windy week. I'm looking forward to being up in Denmark for our masterclass. So the next live coaching will take place in Denmark. So I'll see you all from Denmark. All right. Take care, everyone. Hope you get on the water. Post your questions, videos, photos, all of the above in the Facebook group. All right.